Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about digitalization. We heard a lot of complaints about regulation, but there are developments in the world which are of a technical nature, which we need to recognize. And that's what we are going to talk about. And my question to my panel members, the first question is very simple. How is digitalization going to affect the activities of an insurance intermediary? And is this better? Okay, yes. Thank you very much. And of course, I will not start with the broker. I will start with the lady in the panel. Thank because you have a distinguished career in several countries. So how do you think that digitalization will affect the intermediaries' tasks?
What I've seen actually is that was very nice, because I have the possibility to compare a few markets in Central Eastern Europe, the intermediaries, and I tend to agree with the IOPO study that even countries with a similar development and even similar client attitude actually shows quite different intermediaries models. So what I've seen here in Romania is some very nice symbiosis and mixture from some quite a traditional, even multi-level kind of brokering, incorporating new ways of communication and using very well digitalization. So it's already affected, that's what I've seen. On your question, what I believe that intermediation will be disappearing, I don't think so, because if you're just looking on very simplified products, there could be some change, but if you go back really on where the insurance started with the coffee shop, I don't think intermediation and consultancies, it will change, but it will not disappear.
No, I did not mean to say that it will disappear, but I wanted to know what the impact is. And do you think that the impact is positive?
Yes, actually, as my personality, I'm a person that loves changes, because actually if you change something, you have a possibility to improve. But if you don't change anything, you stay where you are. And it's clear, where I say, I always think the change is a positive driver for anything, for competitive, for improvement, for success, for development. Say.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important message, that change is actually positive. Because many people would disagree with that, but I think that's the voice of wisdom that spoke. Now let's turn to the regulator. You are an IT expert. So digitalization from a supervisory point of view, how is it going to change your relationship with the industry, with the intermediaries that you are supervising? Will it become easier or more difficult?
Funcționează? Acum a luat. Theoretically, it should be more easier, because if you are digitalize something, means that you are having some processes implemented in a digital way in your organization, can be checked easier, is more transparent. The PC is lying only if the programmer introducing the software lie. Other way, all time has right. So from this perspective, supervision should be easier.
So that means that supervision will become cheaper?
Depending on the problem which are created on the market. Because, like example, unfortunately, also now in Romania, the level of the mobile services to clients is quite low. But also these applications that are used now are not implemented correctly. So it's easier to be identified, but it's more difficult to sustain also, starting from the barriers that are present, sustain the development of new services in a controlled manner, in a way that consumer to benefit and the insurer to develop themselves his business. Because in the moment when the business is in developing, also the market is in a better stage, and finally the clients are more happier. So it's different aspects from different angles.
But basically positive from a consumer protection point of view.
From consumer, yeah, at least the people who are wishing to use mobile phone, like example, other needs are satisfied with applications, not necessarily insurance. So probably 50% it's resolved because he's liking to use a mobile phone and have an application of don't matter what on the mobile phone. So it's a behavior requirement more. And from this reason also the appetites to insurance can increase. And the product will be more closer to clients. Insurer will move his objective from a reaction only to pay damage after 1-2 months to be more proactive, to prevent the clients don't have issues, and to move in other category. In fact, product will be moved to services. We are not speak more like product insurance like a product. Is more insurance like a service.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Victor, it's often said that digitalization will kill the small brokerage firms. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think if we speak about the future, and Sergio earlier challenged us to think about a longer term future, about like 10 years, you can either have a dystopic vision, or you can also have a utopic vision. Therefore, if I was to look at the dystopia scenario in 10 years' time, most things will be mainly automated, both products, service to clients, very little human touch, and I do believe that this will also lead to oligopolies, but that's quite a long discussion. So therefore, I think that such a scenario would be consumer detrimental, and it would also be detrimental to the smaller advisors. But in the positive scenario, I do believe that technology can be a very effective support for smaller advisors who want to use it in their advantage and who will know how to use it in their advantage, because platforms can bring the economies of scale that small advisors, small brokers cannot afford them individually. So if they invest and act proactively, they will actually be supported by technological developments.
Okay, so it means that it is not necessarily the expense that they need to invest in that will kill them, because the market will provide other things like platforms, comparison, websites and things like that.
That's one of the scenarios that we already see in the markets, and which helps small brokers survive, and this can also help them also enhance their businesses.
Can you give some examples where this digitalization might enhance the business of intermediaries?
Well, for example, the Romanian market is a market where brokers use platforms a lot, and this has helped them to bear a lot of changes which affected their business models. And if they didn't have the platforms to reduce their operational costs, for example, then before technology, other market changes like regulation or various shifts in sudden shifts in commissions, for example, would have probably generated a very negative impact. But using platforms was a cost-cutting support on one hand. On the other hand, this is an opportunity which is not at the moment very much taken by Romanian brokers. They do, although they have potentially the technological support to use other distribution channels than the traditional ones. We are still a lot using the traditional human-only distribution models, but technology and platforms could help humans to become better advisors.
Okay, Maria, Calin referred to the data availability that will allow insurers to become more customer-oriented because they will know more about their customers. Can you see some developments in that area where insurers are going to use more these data and how they could do that?
You're returning to digitalization in insurance
Yes.
company. Yeah, I mean, it's another point of question. I think one of the really big challenges in insurance company is to have a single management insurance system. This is, no, I'm not talking about the platforms, I'm not talking about some part of the processes like claim process or other stuff. But what is overall, because insurance is quite a complicated business, especially if you are not specialized and you do from retail up to really corporate one. Say, there are just few systems in the world that could manage behind the scene the whole process. Say, one of the biggest challenge from insurance point of view is that we are using different type and in the different processes, the digitalization. But in Central Eastern Europe, overall is really few examples of full cover the whole process. And if we have some really good examples, they're very specialized, like specialized travel insurance company, like in Ukraine, owned by Eurins, the new one, or other stuffs like that. But overall, if they have the full products, this is really a big challenge from the insurance point of view. Coming back to the big data and the possibility, actually it's also an opportunity from the broker's perspective if they're able to use it, because actually data is what is the new gold. That makes us quite aware, and it's quite a big risk for everyone, but still is a big an opportunity, because insurance is all about sharing and big data. Say, if you have it, you can properly evaluate it, sell it, propose it, and as it was used, we are in a kind of a experience economy, but it's also in a sharing economy. Actually, this is the word of the generation that just coming. Say, and insurance is all about sharing. Lemonade is a typical example of all this. So it will become connected to the regulation. Perhaps I'm just throwing a lot of things out. Is that actually, if you want to buy an insurance from an insurance product, protection from insurance company, you need to follow the certain process of the regulated business. But it's possible because insurance is sharing and capital behind. And if you voluntary, you have a similar type of risk connected and some capital behind, like Lemonade. Voluntary, you can enter this not very regulated kind, and you get some protection. Say, just throwing disruptive discussion.
Very, very good. But to follow up on that, is not the fact that there will be more data becoming available one of the means that will allow in countries like Romania or other Central and Eastern European countries to increase the market penetration, because insurers and brokers, they will have more information available so that they can actually know the services that their customers may need and never thought about.
That's true. And yet I would like to add, like in terms of the penetration in Central Eastern Europe, okay, it's a much different compared to Hungary. Like for home insurance, traditionally it's like 80–90% there. But somehow it's more like South Central Eastern Europe. The mentality is that people still quite rely on the government and that somebody will save them from disaster. So until this thinking is existing and it's happening, I don't see it only in Romania, I see it in a few other countries, the penetration, especially on the retail products, will be hard to increase. So it doesn't matter whatever communications tools you have, still if you believe that somebody will react and it's not your responsibility, it will be low. It will be money for nothing in the thinking.
But
sorry.
I wanted first to come back to Kalin because you mentioned this idea about the changing role of insurance, and I come back to you as an intermediary also. Can you explain a little bit to the audience how you see that happening? Because obviously, I think the data collection which digitalization allows will allow insurance companies to do other things than they're doing now, which may indeed also increase market penetration.
Yeah, for the existing clients, so they are collecting data and also big data. In general, it's for the existing clients. If you are wishing to go to new clients that is not in your database, you should do your analysis based on maybe public information, unstructured information from social media and so on, and from associations and so on, but you need also your interpretation. So the insurer companies, you said about brokers. Brokers, maybe the number of employees of the brokers will be modified, but the broker itself will exist because with the digitalization, because they are the most innovative part of the market. In fact, they are moving faster, they are closer to clients, they are see what happens in real life. But the number of employees will decrease because will be an automatization for smaller products, for retail products, are similar with supermarkets, where a supermarket is appearing in a town, all small shops around are disappearing because it's okay, it's a competition, fair or not, but this is a real life. Similar will happen also with small brokerage companies that are family businesses. Maybe they will have their clients and will be a trust relationship at human level, and in that moment nothing will replace a broker, and that broker is a real good broker who have a empathical relationship with his clients. But all others who are selling only policies to survive, probably they will disappear. Yesterday I was in Frankfurt to InsurTech Task Force, and it was presented there more new business models will appear after this digital revolution will happen. And we'll send also to the market a lot of questions and information in the next weeks from this perspective. Insurers are present there, but other type of insurer. You spoke about Lemonade. Netherlands announced that they give a license in that meeting. They announced that they provided license to Lemonade for Europe. So finally they will appear, they will sell on mobile phone insurances. It's clear the brokers, the insurance company should come with something else. But each will find other jobs to do.
Yeah.
So something is disappearing, other jobs are appearing.
So Victor, what are you thinking of as future activities? Is the job for brokers, that's often said that in retail business the role of the brokers will diminish, and that their main role will be in business insurance. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily.
Well, good.
Not necessarily, because as I said earlier, I think the scenario where tech comes and conquers this market completely is a scenario where most likely we will get to oligopolies, because that's what happens. Look at the big the tech dominant players, and there we are talking about oligopolies markets. And I hope that the European Union will have regulation and education of its markets to avoid getting to a stage of oligopolies.
Nobody wants that, and nobody
Yes.
wants.
That's on one hand, and on the other hand, I think that there is, and there will always be, even in retail products, a certain need for advice, because we are not talking about a household product that costs 100 euros. We are talking about a household product that protects the most important asset of a family. And this is something we need to be aware of, and not compare it with the acquisition of a fridge, because it's not an acquisition of a fridge. So I think the market will not go that way, because even though customers like simplicity, they will also like and wish for some advice. And this is where technology and human touch will need to work together, and will find the ways for customers also to benefit from these kind of also from brokers even in retail products. Of course, there will be a large share of customers who will choose to use digital channels. Some of them may be powered by brokers. Some of them may simply replace or change the function, as Kalin mentioned earlier, change the function of their field brokers to call center advisors because in digital businesses, in digital sales channels only, everything is perfect until the first problem. And then a nightmare comes.
I'm very pleased that you say that, because one of the things that we have seen in Western Europe is that in digitalization, the banking sector is way ahead of the insurance sector. And one of the reasons is exactly what you say, that it's nice to buy an insurance policy through the internet, but when you have a problem, you can't talk to your mobile phone because he's not going to answer. So you want to have service, and the service means that somewhere there's got to be a human face of some kind. Would you share that view? Is it the same here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I strongly believe this, and I strongly believe that even if there will be a consistent migration of customers towards digital, so I'm not denying that, I don't want to be misunderstood. I think that the overall preference will be that of omni-channels, that of mixed experiences,
Yes.
with several touch points where the customer wants you to be available. However, it is the most convenient for them. So what we are looking, for example, and we are mapping the customer journey of our clients. And because we develop a certain business model, and we looked at and we see that we have hundreds of customers who interact with us digitally, then physically, or physically, then digitally, then physically, then digital, and so on. So they do prefer multiple types of interactions depending on their need and on their preference. So,
Maria, what do you think?
I think that insurance follows the business and development. If digitalization and become more and more in our life, and with e-learning and other stuff, and outsource offices and working from home and other stuff, and we get use of bots talking and talking to our phones, I think that retail more and more will be will be diminishing the broker's role. Because people and the mentality, it just you get just when you change your phone or the computer, the next version, and you just realize that everything it's much better and worth, and you just do not complain. You just love it, as with Excel functions and other stuff. So it's what I find is we are very adaptive to the change and to the easiness and simplicity. So as faster we're going and our businesses is developing and our behavior used to it, I think from the simple and retail product, it will be much more on digital, and we value the consultancies in other type for business for sure.
Yes. Colin, do you share that view?
What is exactly?
Well, the impact on the brokers, that indeed in the retail business that maybe there will be more digitalization than in other sectors, and that you still need a human face.
You said before that banking is ahead of insurance.
Yes. Yeah.
In my opinion, in insurance, you can see digitalization and the impact of innovation, because in banking, finally, are payment systems. So you are moving
It's
money
payment
from left to
systems,
right.
yes.
You have an application on mobile, internet banking application.
That's
What
correct.
else to innovate there too much? Finally, you need cash, and you go to an ATM and you obtain money. In insurance, are more elements, so you can move, in fact, this business more closer to the client's needs and help them. I have an example for yesterday, because my plane delay close to 4 hours yesterday.
Only. Which airline was that?
Tarom, but it's not
Oh.
Tarom fault, because all Frankfurt flights was or cancelled or delayed hours. And I have an application for insurance who is activating when I am leaving Romania, and after that is closing. And looking that it's close to 4 hours, and now that the limit is 4 hours, they give to me some money after that. I try to see how it's working, this application in this case, because never until now I wasn't in situation. And using, I put in some question in phone, using artificial intelligence, I received some responses. told to me, you receive 80 pounds after 4 hours, after that 80 pounds for each hour, you should only tell to us the number of flights, and this is, you will receive the money in your account. It's a payment system.
Is that a promise or a hope?
Unfortunately for me, it was the delay. It was 3 hours and 50 minutes, and I didn't succeed the test completely all the process channel. But finally, this is what I need. So
Yes.
I don't need a physical broker to have all this discussion with my phone.
Well, let me scare you now a little bit, because you're so optimistic and positive about all this, but I am very much worried. And I, as a supervisor, would be very worried about all these data collection. What's going to happen? Do the companies, the brokers, protect themselves against cyber attacks? Is this happening? Even at the authority, I mean, you must face a similar problem, that somehow somebody's going to come and blow up all your computers. What are you going to do? Are you protected? Do you feel safe?
So, personally, at my personal level, from longer time ago, I consider that everything about me is public. So don't matter if someone is taking my data, steal my information, because, okay, I will recover it.
Be careful, my friend.
It's better to have this attitude, and it will be life easier. Other way is more complicated. But this security, it's an element. But if you are looking and you are speaking about IT, 80% of the attacks and the stealing of data are from inside of the companies. We are speaking all the time about hackers and big cyber catastrophes, but the biggest catastrophe are inside of each company. So it's an example in this room, 10 persons of this room, 10% of the people from this room in this moment are attacking something else, because
Can you put your hands up so that we can see who that is?
Infrastructure, IT infrastructure in general is penetrated very easy. So inside of the companies or outside of the company. So from this reason, to us, to ASF, we are promoting very much this insurance of cyber risks. Because in this manner, you know that will be, if someone wishes to attack you, they will attack you, but at least you should know how to continue your life after that, and the insurance has a role. This is an example how insurance market is changed, considering the digital environment.
But does your authority has insurance against cyber attacks?
In this moment, we are analyzing what means this, because on Romanian market, you have now here a company who are providing something.
I'm going to ask her the question.
But
yes.
Romanian market is quite weak from this perspective, but it's not only Romanian market.
No.
So the figures are showing on 2025 only 1% of all the premiums at the international level will be on cyber insurance.
Yes.
And in this moment, the losses of cyber attacks are around $60 billion per year.
Yeah.
So
there is
a very
an
big
issue.
gap of this. So your data indeed can be attacked, can be affected. You should know how to recover it and how to benefit of insurance if it's the case.
Well, I hope so, Maria. Do you have protection against cyber attacks?
Yes, we do, and we offer this product. We are
And you
one
yourself
of the few.
are also protected?
We are, as a company, okay, I agree with what he said. I mean, it's whatever you do and how fast you develop and try to improve your IT security, it's a matter of somebody to decide it, to attack you, and you will be. So in the question whether I feel protected, no. But it's just one of the risks in the risk management process. You need to take the box and try to be enhanced and to continue improve your processes. And I agree, it's like always, a human touch, human mistake inside the companies is still the top reason of the hackers attack. But it still is like the cyber risk, and actually even in selling the cyber products and promoting it, it's much different European, West European and USA market. Like discussions with the brokers and clients is everybody is like doing for continuity of its business, but in terms of the liability they assumed is which it's quite a cheap product, is still not on most of the owners or the CEO's agenda, just to look. Even there was a lot of talks about going, but still quite far off. Really, this is like a planned activity to have it.
Do you believe that all insurers should have insurance against cyber attacks?
Yes, I do, because as I said, it shows responsibility, and it helps because reputation risk is also something quite big in financial services and the trust. So yes, I believe that all insurance, but it's again, I don't believe in obligatory or the things there isn't enough regulation. It's more about how you perceive the risk,
So
and
it's part of good risk management, basically.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
I tend to agree, but
I have a small mention. Also yesterday it was approved at EIOPA as a guide for cloud computing risk management. And there this guide will be also public consultation, and from September probably will become mandatory for all countries in a complain or explain system. And there's insurance company will be requested for externalization for outsourcing contracts. Data have also insurance for cyber risk against these service providers. So this is an example that will happen.
yeah, there will be an EIOPA guideline. Yes, okay, that's very interesting. Victor, as intermediary, you have the same problem, of course. Is there on the market a product that you can buy, an insurance, that would satisfy you as a user, that you are fully protected on your data?
Not to the full extent that I would expect. Not to the full extent that I would expect.
Sorry.
No, he's a broker, professional one. That was the answer.
But that's besides being a problem, I think it's also an opportunity, and we have to look at it as an opportunity, because, for example, just take the most the line of business. The line of business with the highest awareness is the property insurance. But I think that the largest share of assets has already, and I think probably this year, this year or these years, the largest share of assets of companies around the world has moved from physical assets to non-material assets, so to information. And I read an estimate a week ago or something like this from the CEO of a large reinsurer, saying that the claims in the cyber claims will soon be over the property claims. So that's a huge opportunity for the market, and we have to clarify what we can cover with cyber risk, how we evaluate these assets, because this is where a major issue occurs. We need to get clarity on how these policies interact. But that's just an example. Cyber insurance is just an example of how technology will transform our industry in all its aspects, because technology and big data will for sure eliminate or reduce some areas in the value chain, but they will also develop and increase others. Information technology, IoT, Internet of Things,
Yes.
will generate huge amounts of data, which will prevent appearance of many risks, for example, machinery breakdown. Probably in 10, 20 years, this line of business will be significantly reduced, because the risk will be significantly reduced due to big data. But then a new business line occurs, because we can, as an industry, be more providers of services and prevention and comfort for our clients. So that's again another opportunity.
I think I would share your view. My worry is that I have the feeling that the market is not sufficiently creative and innovative. And I find it very interesting that I hear now from the regulator side that, ladies and gentlemen, when it's an EIOPA guideline, it means basically that in Romania this will become the law de facto It's not a law which is voted by the parliament, but it's a law that will be imposed by the supervisor. And that is my worry, you know, that I have the feeling the market in insurance is still very, very conservative, and that on issues such as cybersecurity, it is not sufficiently responsive. And it is, of course, the EIOPA guideline that will now force all the insurers in Europe to have cybersecurity insurance, and that will then develop the policy. So what do you think? Do you think that I'm right, or that I'm overly pessimistic in that respect?
If you are speaking about Romanian market, it's in this moment it's in development from this perspective.
Yeah, you know,
it's a
obvious.
big gap between what
With other problems.
so being in this group where countries are presenting what they are doing in innovation, in what companies are doing on Western countries, practically in Romania nothing happens. So this is a reality in this moment. So it's a big gap. But I think this will be changed quite fast because competition is coming here.
Yeah.
With freedom of service, freedom of establishment can be also tomorrow here if they are wishing to be. Unfortunately, from one perspective, fortunately for other perspectives, the market is small and is cheap, and they are not very interested to come very fast. But the population is changed, new generation are coming, used with the technology, and also their request will increase. Maybe we are having 5 million people in countryside, and don't matter what innovation you are doing, you should go there physically and give the paper. But okay, in 5 years, 10 years, things will be changed.
Excellent. Now we are close to the end of our panel, and because we need to have lunch at some stage, in order to give people the chance to enjoy their lunch, can you, each of you, give a positive message about digitalization? Because digitalization, many people are afraid about it. Can you give a positive message that they came back for lunch and enjoy their lunch? And I start with Victor.
Yeah, I remember our conversation on Friday where you were less optimistic about the innovative character of the market, and I was more optimistic about that. Let's look at the insurance market as a whole, like as a diesel engine with a double turbine. It takes off slowly, but when it starts, I'm confident it will make significant changes. That's one thing. And the message, especially for my fellow brokers,
Yes.
colleagues, is and also for the insurance industry as a whole, embrace technological change and see it as a tango and start the new dance.
Excellent.
Today.
Very good. Maria.
I would just could add to what Odo is saying, just keep learning and embrace technology in your business model. That's it always will give a positive result, and just look around you.
So you prepare to dance the tango also?
I will, yeah, sure. I can
Very
dance
good.
everything.
Oh, well, we note that. Kalin?
I think the positive aspect is that Romanian authority is sustaining the market. We develop InsurTech Hub. The president announced last week that he wished to develop this InsurTech, to go to a sandbox structure and so on. So from this perspective, who is concerned can discuss with us, and we are having the goal to help them to develop the market and to protect the consumer. So from this reason, digitalization is an opportunity, and the people who know to develop businesses can take this opportunity to have free help from authority to develop new product and new services on Romanian market.
What a fantastic message. A positive supervisor. Great. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking my panel members for their excellent job. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.